I just want to reiterate what I was saying, that so you know, when you get a lay of the land here, it's mostly these smaller round rocks. This is glacial till, but it's mostly the smaller round rocks. And so the hard thing is trying to find Latrodectus on this flat top ground, because there's really nothing for them to get under. If there's no holes, there's nowhere for them to go. And then the rocks like this, if you look down at some of these rocks, there's really nowhere for the widows to get underneath this stuff, you know. So a lot of places you could roll stuff over and then those black widows will have been under there. But this just ain't the area for that. You can see over here on the far bank some more rock, but it just doesn't look like, well, there's some of that. See, some of that flatter rock that's kind of off the ground, there could be a chance of widows being under that. We can go take a look at that. But without holes or substantial rock structure, it's hard to find widows up on the flat. It's not ideal. So this is kind of what you're looking for, but obviously we don't see any strands. You're going to see some strands, and Latrodectus hesperus really doesn't like the barren flat ground anyway, and they don't like to be under rocks and stuff. You will find them there, but it's just not ideal. And so this just, you know, it just really isn't ideal. There's no real sign of them, and that's why, you know, when they're babies they balloon away. So anyone that was up here, any mother that had offspring up here, they're going to be few and far between, and then the babies are going to balloon over the edge here. They're going to eventually balloon with the wind off the edge of the lake here. So they're going to, again, we'll have better chances on the embankment. And then there's more holes, more places for them to hide in those sediments. And so that's why we're finding Latrodectus along the bank. And why we're not finding them up here so much. It's not that they're not up here, it's just that it has to be ideal. A hole in the ground or substantial rocks, like I said, for them to crawl under, like you see in other countries. You know, you see other Latrodectus in other areas of the world, how they're basically under leaf litter and under debris on the ground. Hesperus just doesn't do that so much in Montana. Okay, so imagine the black widows that you do have up here, if there is any. They have offspring and the wind blows the babies pretty much over the precipice here, so over the edge of the lake bank. Now we have a good 25-30 feet to the bottom, and all of that sediment, that is where those babies get caught. They hang up, and then they can find the holes. And the ones that survive and the ones that really take root are those ones that find the burrows, the swallow holes, the rock holes, the sediment holes. This is just ideal for Latrodectus hesperus all along here. So as you can see, I mean, there is some structure. So now that we're down here below the bank and looking up, now we have some structure. We have this giant crevice here. This is washing out, obviously. So black widows aren't going to have a nest in there because it'd get washed out. But once we get into structure, like some of these cracks, like see, we're starting to get into some of these cracks, like over here. And the problem with those, though, is that the rain can go down in them. And so they're not going to nest in there because they'll get swamped, washed out. We get down in here, we get better options. I can see some webbing there. So this is substantial enough. You can see there's webbing. I'm not too sure that's Latrodectus. That might be Steatota. Here we go. Oh, here's a mama right here. So if we move real gentle, there's some double egg sacs, and there's a mother. We go here. Maybe I'll grab that. We can go real close. So there's a mother and 2 egg sacs. Notice where she is here. So we have a vertical crack. She has a hide, maybe a 2-inch hide in there. The rain can come down here, but it'll shed away. She's not going to get swamped or washed out, and neither is her egg sac. Nice network of webbing here, nice lattice work, okay? Very good structure here, and I like, it's hard for the camera to pick it up, I'm sure, but she's got a nice funnel hide. Obviously incubating her egg sacs, thermal regulating those egg sacs out in the sunlight, the heat. If it gets too hot, she can take them back in, and she will. If I tapped on that web, she would grab those and she would move them in. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to bother her, but she would do that. That's how they regulate, incubate, and how they protect those egg sacs. But a real nice setup here, obviously. And I think as we get farther down the bank here, we're going to see more of that, because we get into more holes and stuff, and we get into more structure, and so we'll have more black widows. It's almost like the black widows here gravitate to habitat rather than gravitate to prey or anything else. They need structures, holes, and things to hold up in. If they don't have that, they don't stick around, or they don't survive. We'll head down farther here. So right over here, this wall isn't very high, but this is good stuff. And then look at the egg sacs. We can see 3 egg sacs from here. So let's take a look at that. Maybe we can get the footage with the phone, but this is just a nice setup. Not the easiest going here, but look at this. That's perfect. Notice the 2-inch, 3-inch round hide, a nice hole. So it looks like this was a fissure in the sediment or a crack in the sediment, and she's found a nice pocket, making nice shelter. The rain will flow away from her. What a setup here. Nice looking mother, 3 egg sacs. You know one of them is a dummy sac and it's empty. But she's thermal regulating. She's thermal regulating this group of egg sacs. What a beautiful setup. Let's see if I can't get closer here. Ooh, she's a nice big mother too. Look at her, what a darling. Nice red hourglass, very prominent. This is just what we expect to see though, you know. She's got a sheet web on top here. Nice lattice work, so a nice scaffold of webbing below. Gumfoot strands in there, not many, a couple. And that's because her energy is going to taking care of those egg sacs. She's not on the prowl, so to speak. That's nice. But so you can imagine, you know, they're ballooning off the edge, and then they make their way down and they find these pockets, and that's where they make their life. These banks are invaluable to these black widow spiders, especially Latrodectus hesperus. You know, this is the way she is throughout the West. It may be different in California, and it may be different in other places, you know. But here in Montana, this is what they like. Not so much that ground litter, leaf litter stuff. Not so much. A little bit. You can find them there, but you're not going to find the volume of numbers, you know, and that dispersal like you will here. I love this. Let's keep going. So we got a kind of a pretty big storm coming, and I think we need to call it quits and get back. So we'll journal and write down what we have so far. That doesn't look good, so we just better head out and we'll journal what we got, and then we'll come back.